We watched a PBS special for one of my classes, and they're just teaching them, like, racial differences in people.
Yeah.
There was a teacher sitting down on the rug with, like, a semicircle of, like, a group of kids, and I think they were deliberately chosen to be of different ethnicities. And the teacher was, like, displaying, like, the differences of their skin, and there was, like, kind of like an uproar in class a little bit about whether it should be done or should not be done.
I think in a positive way we should see ethnicity because, one, it's the truth. People come from different cultures. I think we should celebrate our ethnicity. I don't think we should pretend it's not there. Hi guys, welcome to another Beneath the Surface podcast. Today I've got one of my closest friends, Keiran Sass here.
'Tis I.
Yeah,
I am Keiran Sass.
Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you, sir. I'm very excited to be here.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you for doing this whole thing and really pursuing what you want to.
Thanks.
It's nice to see. It's good to see passion because a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. It's definitely been a journey in itself, just like knowing that it's okay to like start, like, because everyone sucked at, like, LeBron James sucked at basketball, like,
yeah,
at some point.
Yeah, it's easy to look at progress and be like, that level,
yeah,
like, that's insane.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of people struggle to realize that, like, everybody starts at ground zero. Like, sometimes people proceed faster because of certain factors, but everyone starts from the same point. It's hard to see that a lot of times. It
is, especially when you see these behemoths of, like, podcasters or basketball players. Joe Rogan. Shots at you, Joe. You're good at what you do.
Take that.
No, that means a lot to me, because a lot of the time I'm like, damn it, on the lighting on this one episode, or it's easy to be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But
it's easy to look at someone else and be like, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, like, some
comparisons are odious unless you're comparing in a healthy way, I think, which is, oh, that guy's doing awesome. Like, I'm going to, like, work hard too and, look up to him, rather than, like, comparing yourself to everything ever. Yeah, but even still, like, I feel like your podcast, I mean, obviously it's still, like, in its birth, like, it's still very young, but I'm certain there are people looking at it being like, man, like, that guy's, like, doing it, like, and, like, it's hard to believe that, especially when it's yourself, and especially when, like, you're like trying to make it work still, and it's not like a well-oiled machine. But, like, I'm certain that there are people like, man, like, I wish I could have started a podcast, like, well, he's just doing it. Wish I could just do it. Damn, thank you. Yeah, it's the craziest thing happened like a couple, or it's not the crazy, it's just something that really stuck with me. It was about 2 weeks ago. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. My boss's mom came into the cafe, and she was like, "Oh, I saw your podcast, like, and I watched your podcast. I watched, like, 4 episodes."
You're getting your voice out there, man.
I know, and I was like, I was so, like, put off in a good way. I was like, I didn't think, I was like, okay, close friends are checking it out, and, like, some family members. And then when I see people, like...
You're a celeb.
When I see people, you're like, give me your autograph.
Bonafide celebrity.
But no,
Get your pics
now. They'll be worth the millions. Oh, man. No, but it was because, Guy, who's been on the podcast, my boss, obviously showed her. But it's cool, like, even just, like, having anyone that I don't really know very well just tell me, which it's happened, like, once or twice, which is just, like, people who are friends with friends of mine. Like, Jeremy, who I had on a couple podcasts ago, like, showed some of his people he'd been working with in Shaw's and stuff. So it's been nice, like, doing that and, like, kind of seeing people, like, kind of watch it.
It's awesome. Like, it's happening. It's happening without, I mean, obviously you realize it, but, like, people are paying attention, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something we wanted to talk about a little bit was how we met, how Keiran and I met, and I think Connor and I I'm sure we touched on this at least a little bit when Connor and I did, the episode. We should totally do a 3-person episode.
Yeah, definitely. But
yeah.
Me and Alex have been buds for a long time. I joined Pine Hill, which was our middle school. I joined halfway through 6th grade, and maybe not right at the very beginning, but like probably within like a couple of weeks, we became pretty close friends pretty quickly. Mostly bonded over our love of Pokemon.
Oh, 100%. I remember going over to your house, your old house.
Yeah,
and
2 houses
yeah,
ago.
2 houses ago, and like sniffing out the area for like any Pokemon memorabilia. Like, I wonder if he's down to clown with Pokemon. Yeah.
But
and I remember seeing some like games and stuff, and I was like, yes, hell yeah.
Yeah, yes.
And then it's all started from there, kind of,
Yeah, and thus the friendship was born.
Yeah,
and we just pretty much like stayed contact through all of high school, and I mean, obviously and beyond, because that's where we are now.
Yeah, we are in the beyond. We haven't been to school together in like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's something I really love about like, the situation that we're in is the fact that, like you, me and Connor like went to completely different high schools.
Yeah.
And it's like,
we
ended up hanging out like more at some points, like.
We probably did hang out more after being in school together. I think like our freshman year we like separated because we're like spreading our wings and meeting people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think like our sophomore year on, it was like every weekend.
Yeah.
I feel
like freshman year we saw each other like less, I think, but still like I feel like at least once a month,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild because I think about this a lot. You guys were really like my medicine and still are, but like just thinking about like Pine Hill specifically, I would have like I
middle school's a rough time for a lot of people.
Yeah, middle school is just like a confusing time, and having like friends that you can rely on, I think is really important.
Yeah, there's a fine line in middle school, especially like 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Like the emotions are flowing, so you can do some pretty drastic things at times when you're that age, just because you're so overwhelmed and suddenly you're getting responsibilities that you've never had before.
Yep.
And you're getting older, and suddenly it feels like your life is happening and you have like a little control over it. And a lot of times like kids get really sad, or kids get really mad, or a lot of times they don't even know why.
Yeah, how do people even react to something that is just completely foreign,
Yeah, especially like middle school aged kids that are entering high school for the first time.
Yeah.
When they have like mass amounts of kids all around them at the same time. A lot of kids make bad decisions, a lot of kids make good decisions, but it's a tricky time.
It is.
I know personally it was not my favorite time.
High school or middle school?
I guess
I mean both are kind of rough. Like,
yeah,
can
high
be
school
rough.
was better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was actually mostly before I came to Pine Hill and met you and Connor and the rest of the gang. But yeah, like before Pine Hill, I was in the Merrimack Public School.
Yep.
And I just remember struggling a lot, and like I was never like with friends or anything, because like I was always like popular, like
totally.
Like people liked me.
You had pals,
Yeah, like I wasn't like a loner. But I don't know, like I remember struggling with school a lot. I remember fighting with my teachers a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
That time a lot. Is that like 5th, 4th grade, right?
Yeah, around there. I'd probably say like 3rd, 4th, 5th. Like was particularly. I guess in 3rd grade, you're only like 8.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Something like that. It really is a sketchy time. Like when it comes to just emotions flowing and having these like, because you're getting thrown into like this pile of people. And like. Some people are less social than others, and some people are more social than others. So it's like, and some people don't learn certain ways, and then teachers overreact. There's like a lot of stuff being thrown at you at once in that like one arena.
Yeah.
So it's like, no wonder kids like
freak out.
Yeah,
a lot of I mean, my mom's a school psychologist, so she works a lot of times. I mean, she almost does exclusively work with kids that need some kind of help or have some kind of psychotherapeutic something that she can help with. And I don't know, she comes home with stories like pretty much every day of the week about kids that are like having mental breakdowns because of school and having like severe depression because of school. And like she's always, as a trained professional, it's always like the privacy conduct, so like there's no specifics ever given or anything like that, and like stories can't really be shared. But I know through context that she's experienced like some pretty scary stuff happening in like public schools. Which is like pretty, like almost too common. Like
it is. You know, like we gotta relook at our schooling system. To be frank, you know.
Yeah, there's like I think like if you look up on Google like "school makes me," like you look at the thing, it's like anxious, depressed, suicidal, angry, so upset, so mad, like
pissed off, confused.
And like none of them are like "school makes me excited about learning."
Yeah, which is like what it's saying it's pushing.
I mean, a lot of kids dread school. I'd say most kids dread school. Yeah, and it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be learning about the world.
It makes you question.
It's supposed to be helpful.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be making you suicidal.
That's how it's marketed too. It's like school's gonna make you super pumped about learning and growing, and there's like definitely a certain amount of learning and growing done in school. Like you get thrown in because you learn about like social things and stuff, but it really can be a lot better. You know, school a lot of the time, you know, school, this is literally true, was the way it is now with some tweaks from like throwing some iPads in there, you know, is the same as it was virtually in like the 40s and the 30s when it comes to there's a teacher. They, you know, tell you what to do. And it's really what how this formula was created was to create like migrant workers. Like, or what's I'm thinking of the wrong term.
What do you
like industrial like the
clones?
Yeah, kinda. Okay. In a way, you know, that sounds like extreme, but it's like kind of true. I
know what you're saying.
Yeah, like obedient people that don't think. Ironically, that follows the status quo. That ironically like don't think out of the box, which is what school like says it pushes. But you know, a lot of the time, like in high school, I remember just being like getting given a sheet and then memorize the sheet.
Yeah, it's a lot of memorization.
And then kind of just put the sheet on. You do as you say.
Yeah, the public school system right now relies almost exclusively on the regurgitating of information. So, like, you'll be given...
Other than, I like labs. I like how colleges do labs. That's something like
in biology or chemistry.
Biology and chemistry. I like that. But they're fixing things like a little slowly, but they could be like doing a lot.
I mean, that's a good example of actually implementing the knowledge you learn. But that's where I take issue a lot of times with schools, in that like a lot of the times kids are just asked to remember information, write it down. And like that's pretty much it. You learn the information in class, you put it on a test, and it's gone from your mind for literally the rest of your life. Yeah. Like I don't remember
my worldly wise. I don't remember my math sheet that I got in July of 2015. You know, it's like,
I just think it would work a lot better if you were given information and then forced to use it, rather than forced to repeat
information that is much more. This is really cliche. People say this all the time, but it's more used in real world experience, like how to deal with a divorce, how to deal with taxes, how to like memorize the Constitution.
I feel like those would be more helpful in like college level courses, though.
Yeah, but like, why not start early, right?
Yeah, I was actually. For those of you that don't know, I'm attending SNHU this year.
Yeah.
It's my first year. I took 2 gap years out of high school, excuse me. But in one of my classes, now I lost my train of thought.
Oh, was it that class we were talking about the other week?
Yeah, now I lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
We were just talking about how people like learn differently in like teaching the Constitution rather than like teaching like taxes.
Oh, I do remember now. Yeah. We watched a PBS special from one of my classes that's about teaching kids. I think they were
Kindergarten?
first grade, I
Fifth grade?
think.
Yeah.
I think they were first grade.
Okay.
And they're just teaching them like racial differences
Yeah.
in people.
Yeah.
Like I think they were in Detroit, and for example, like there was a teacher sitting down on the rug with like a semicircle of like a group of kids, and I think they were deliberately chosen to be of different ethnicities. Like there was a little
It seemed that way.
Yeah, there was like a little Asian girl, there was a little white boy, there's a little black boy. I think there was like a Hispanic boy as well.
Yeah.
And the teacher was like displaying like the differences of their skin.
Yeah.
And in like the color of your eyes, the color of your hair. And there was like kind of like an uproar in the class a little bit about whether it should be done or should not be done.
Oh, wow.
Because there were some people arguing that by introducing racial differences to kids that are that young, they'll start to pick up on them. And if you look at a lot of kids that are raised with just like an instilled quality of respect, regardless of anything, just respecting people in general, tend to not really notice or not act differently around different races, although it is evident.
Yeah.
And then there were some people that were saying that it's good for them to do that because of the...
Yeah, that's a really interesting... I like that conversation point because where I stand, I think, personally for me, I think it's really important to kind of not pretend that we're colorblind in some sense. You know, I think it's really important.
That was a word that kept coming up in the class. It's like colorblind means color mute.
Yeah, I think we should celebrate our ethnicity. I don't think we should pretend it's not there. I think we should be like, I think we should really, because I think pretending that ethnicity is not there has something that's very positive at its root, like a positive act behind it, like people wanting to do that. Coming from a good place. But I think in a positive way, we should see ethnicity because one, it's the truth. People come from different cultures and they're different colored skins, and I think that's awesome because I think different cultures have awesome different personality traits, and there's different ways people are brought up, and I'm in that camp, I think, but I'm definitely open, but I think we should celebrate those things.
There was a lot of talk about like white America, in that like a lot of white people, when talking about racial differences in America specifically, say like, I don't see color, like you could be pink polka dotted, like blah blah blah, like I see you as me, like I see you the same as I'd see anyone. And in the class they were talking about how in so saying things like that, you're essentially saying like, as long as you act the way that I do, or like as long as you act white, then we're okay. Like if you're acting, if you're conforming to what I do, then we're not going to have a problem. And obviously this is coming from my perspective, who's a white male.
Of course, I mean, you have just valid.
Yeah, that's a point that we were talking about. Just the fact that, for example, there was another video that we were watching. It was like, do you know the Guess Who game? It's like it's like a board, and you have like faces on little cards, and you have a person across from you, and you're like, ask like, does they have brown hair? Do they have a hat? Like,
I think so.
That stuff. And they did a study on kids that were below 10, kids that were like 10 to 15, and then adults. And what it showed is that adults who are white had an extreme difficulty in asking about race when trying to define like a defining characteristic, and they were like twice as less likely when there was a person of color in the room. And then the kids that were below 10 had no qualms about it. They're like, is the person black? And they actually outpaced the adults.
I can see that happening.
Because they were able to actually identify the people. And then the kids that were 10 to 15, they actually had already learned by that time that there was like a stigma around asking about race or just race in general, so they avoided it as well, and were the slowest.
So it's like this thing that's kind of taught to be like to pretend that we shouldn't acknowledge race. I think that's a very not good thing. I think that totally makes sense, is that adults and people, because it's become this thing of like
trying to not seem racist.
Yeah, and it's like no one's like there's a lot of racist people out there still, but we shouldn't pretend that we're racist even though we're not. We shouldn't like be told that we're racist even though we have no quarrel with any other race or anything or anyone because they're a certain race. And I also think that I think that has been taught into our culture.
Well, it's kind of a troublesome topic.
It is. It's a very sensitive topic.
White people are like the universal oppressor. Like there's there's a couple examples that I can think of that exclude white people completely, but like the majority of racism on planet Earth was executed by white people.
Yeah, that's why it's so sensitive.
Yeah, that's a really hard realization for a lot of people to come to.
Yeah,
and it's a really hard realization. We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah,
it's a really hard realization to find that like I am a white male. I was born into the world to find out that my ancestors probably did like horrible things, and it's quite likely.
Yeah,
and it's quite likely. Yeah. If I don't want to offend anyone watching the video, but if you're white, there's a high likelihood that your ancestors were either slave owners or oppressed people in some kind of way. Usually, if you're American.
Okay.
American or English.
Yeah.
Usually.
It's really it's a fine line. It's like it's hard to, cuz that's true, and people white people have been huge oppressors. But I think what's important is to remember that, one, that we aren't those people, and we shouldn't pay for their, mistakes. There might be specific situations where, but, I don't think we should have that. And I think that's why white adults are having a hard time, like, being like, oh, there's a black woman in the room next to me or something. Because that's the fact that that's looked at as a possible
like saying
insult.
The word black is like a derogatory term.
That's such a, that like completely flips it.
It's like, people are hesitant to call people Mexican when they're Mexican. And it's
that's an unhealthy thing. That's an unhealthy cultural thing.
Even identifying themselves as white.
Yeah.
Like a lot of adult people, like write down like I am statements. Yeah. Most people don't like want to write down that they're white because this is a personal opinion, but I kind of believe people are kind of subconsciously ashamed of like being white, and like even though saying that like
that's part of the culture too. It's like this like if you're
trying to look past it, like my culture is American. Like no, it's not. Unless you are pure Native American, you are an immigrant from Europe or elsewhere.
Yeah,
like that's just a fact.
Yeah, and we shouldn't feel bad for being white. That's a huge cultural thing too. Is like, we're all human beings, Yeah. We shouldn't have to say sorry for being born, white. We should also acknowledge the terror that's happened, that we've created. Yeah. Our past, ancestors. We shouldn't ignore that at all. But I think it's a pretty toxic thing that's been created in the culture of just, I understand where it's coming from, but to feel just bad for being white.
Hypersensitive. Like trying to like, I'm not racist, so I'm not even going to talk about race.
Yeah.
Like it's too much. It's a taboo topic because if I bring it up, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like to say like the past should not be forgiven and it should not be forgotten.
Yeah.
But it should be allowed to be the past. It should be allowed to stay there.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are still active examples of racism in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I mean, you actually had an example that I can think of in the cafe. I mean,
not the cafe.
Or you can talk about it if you want to. You don't have to.
I won't mention where. I am 100%. It's 100% not at the cafe where I work right now. But it was in an old job that I left like a little while ago, like a good amount of time ago. And there was this worker. I'm gonna be as vague as I can when it comes to like. There was this worker. It wasn't the establishment's fault
I just remember
at
being
all.
like flabbergasted.
Yeah,
when you brought this up.
It was crazy. So there was this worker there who I guess messed up something like slightly, and there was this other worker there. The coworker who messed something up slightly was black, and the coworker. There's this other coworker. There's a white coworker that I'm trying to think of exactly what he said. I probably shouldn't repeat it, but it was very racist, and it was directed not at him specifically, but at pointing out his race specifically. I think he did say the N-word. I think he called him like, well, yeah, he said, well, at least I'm not a
N-word.
Yeah, and like everyone was just like.
Yeah,
and I'm almost certain.
Dropped kicked that man.
Yeah, seriously. I wasn't even there in the room. I was downstairs, and like coworkers came up and told.
And they told you about it.
Yeah, I think they fired him that day. Like I don't know. Like I don't have confirmation he got fired, but I know he got fired.
Yeah,
like there's no way. That's pretty. I mean,
that's uncommon for here.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever experienced that kind of racism. That's the first time I've ever real life experienced racism. I think there's probably moments when I've just haven't seen, but yeah. I honestly like that just caught me off guard. Like I was like, because I knew who he was. I like walked by him and stuff, and I was like. He was a really angry guy. He was angry all the time, and I was like, wow, that guy... I mean, they're just... it's not good. It's not...
There's either a level of ignorance that is so high that they just don't understand what that word means, or they're just... I mean, I don't even know this guy, and I would be willing to say that he's not a great human.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to... Like... I think this is something that came up with Andrew Yang. Not to take this like political, because I'm not gonna take like that like right now. I'm just it's about him that happened to him. Is there's this guy who was doing a stand up show. And he was very drunk, and someone recorded it, and he specifically pointed out Andrew Yang, and this got posted online. And he was calling him all like these Asian. Andrew Yang is the political candidate who is Asian, and he was
Asian American.
Asian American, yeah. And this guy like was pointing out Andrew Yang specifically and saying like how you're saying all the slurs when it comes to like Asian Americans or just Asian people, and I think we should practice how Yang reacted. Yang was on like 6 shows, and they were like, Yang, he pointed you out specifically. How do you feel about this? Really, really made me respect Yang even more. I was pointed out specifically by these, because there's something called cancel culture. And I think that this is a very toxic thing. I don't think it's good. I think we should practice forgiveness. I think people have fucked up in the past, like, immensely. And that deserve forgiveness, and this guy, Yang, was in these shows. I think he was on The View, and he talked about it, and he said, he specifically pointed me out, and after I kind of sat down with my wife and talked about it, I realized that, people are instantly getting... Cancel culture is like when people lose their jobs instantly from, like, one thing that people have dug up from, like, 10 years ago or something. Yeah. And... Yang was like, I think Yang said something like, cancel culture is not a good thing. I think we should practice understanding and forgiveness in these situations. And I don't think that at very least for me, doesn't support anything these people are saying. But we should take everything into consideration. We don't know what this... I'm just going to say, we don't know what this guy was going through who said the N-word to this guy. Like, doesn't matter. It's a terrible thing to say. This doesn't make it good. One action shouldn't dictate the other. But I think it's a worthwhile discussion to have about what this guy was going through and where he's coming from. And he's obviously shouldn't have said what he said. I can't iterate that enough. Like, I'm not supporting what he said, but I think it's really important and a really rare thing to practice forgiveness. Because Yang forgave this guy who was giving these slurs specifically pointed at him. And I think that's really admirable. Because I think if we keep attacking these people, especially from like years and years ago, I think that's kind of turning us into these people who really like look to attack rather than, look for the good.
I mean, that's
We're
kind
always
of
looking
human
for
nature.
Yeah,
Like
but like I think it gives too much oil to the flame.
Yeah, I think
and
that
I just want to quickly say that this guy where I worked, he was not okay what he said. I just think it's an interesting avenue to talk about this forgiveness, because if someone who was directed who got called these things directly, thinks these things like Andrew, I don't know. I think forgiveness is a really healthy and worthwhile avenue.
Yeah, I think there are levels to that as well, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I believe that there are like some things that you can do that are inexcusable.
Yeah, and in this job, it was like a $9 an hour job. Especially if he's like, I don't know. I just need to know more about it. If it was just if it was just like a crazy rage, like this slipped out, he's never said anything like that. Like secondhand information. I don't know all the information. I don't know if he deserves to be fired because I don't know all the information. He could have been never said that ever, or not been racist ever, and he could have had the worst day of his life. Girl broken up with him. We don't know, and I think for his sake, we deserve to have that information and use that fully.
Yeah, I do think like
because it's important to kind of do that.
I do think like forgiveness culture has kind of dissipated pretty often, especially like through the birth of social media.
Yeah,
like people are just attacking people on social media.
Yeah,
like, especially in the comments. Like you'll say something, and like you'll just get like strings of people.
Yeah.
Like if like God forbid you have a grammar like error, like you're gonna be crucified. Like there's so like. If you post like any kind of faulty information, like people just like post like the clown emoji.
And people will be like, "You're racist" or something.
Well,
like
people don't. I just don't think people really realize that there are like humans on social media, and like you might not be seeing them face to face, and you might not necessarily like know them, or even like really have any real repercussions from like insulting someone on the internet, but it's still going somewhere. Yeah. It's still hitting someone. You just don't see the aftermath. You just kind of do it and forget about it.
It's so easy.
It's like gratification. It's like, as much as I hate to say it, there's like a certain level in humans, like just like in people in general across the board, that revel a little bit in the destruction of others. Like there's just like by seeing someone else at their lowest, it makes you feel a little bit better. That's why like there's like the funniest things on YouTube and stuff like that are like kids falling down or like
fails.
Yeah,
the whole fails.
Yeah, I mean it's like the little like serotonin. Like I didn't do that. Like
literally,
like, it just makes people feel better about themselves by watching other people do badly. Which is why like I remember there was when was it? I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4. I don't really remember. There was a woman on Twitter who posted like a racist tweet. I think it was like she was on her flight. I think she was going to like Nairobi in Kenya. And she posted something like hope I don't get AIDS. Wait, just kidding. I'm white. And like
insinuating that like all black people have AIDS,
or like saying that like she wouldn't be able to because she's white.
Okay.
And it went viral.
Yeah.
And
as those things do.
As things do. And apparently she went to sleep on the plane and she woke up and she had like literally like hundreds of thousands of like retweets and things, and like people telling her to die, people telling her like she should be like she should get AIDS. I hope she dies. Like I'm gonna find you. Like all this kind of stuff. And it essentially ruined her life. Like she couldn't work.
Cancel culture.
Yeah, like she's done. Like her like practically her entire life. Like she was like a pretty like moderately successful businesswoman. Like in her like I think she was in her 40s. Like could never get another stable job. Could never like work for anyone.
Yeah, I think that's terrible for her. That happened to her. I think people make jokes, and I think people I thought I like
I mean, she probably had like 40 followers.
Yeah,
like it's
like-
probably, it's not like she's like like she had like a platform.
Yeah.
It's just like because it's social media,
Yeah.
it has the chance. Like,
people
anything
hop
you
on
post has the
any chance to call someone racist, call someone, and in this situation when she made, yes, that's like a shitty joke. Like that's a shitty
Yeah.
joke. But like I don't think she hates that ethnicity.
People were
and
specifically saying like,
strives to,
I'm making it my life mission to make sure you never get hired.
Yeah.
Like her personal website was just blast.
Yeah.
Like her life was
Those are
essentially
toxic people.
destroyed.
Yeah, I think that's the worst. I think that's a perfect example of how bad cancel culture can get. I remember when PewDiePie said the N word on a live stream in like 2016, and he was like, oh, like he like messed something up and he just said it, and like everyone was like on him about it, obviously, because he's one of those. And I think
he has like how many?
He has 100 and he has 102. He had 100 million.
100 million.
He was the second YouTuber ever, and first YouTuber. The first channel that hit 100 million was literally like a multi-billion-dollar like corporate conglomerate.
Yeah.
That automatically subscribes every Indian person to their channel, which is crazy. It's like an Indian
like when you're bored.
Yeah, like when you're logged into YouTube, you're like subscribed. But no, I think so. He said the N word, and like he's not a racist person.
Yeah.
And you can by mistake in a crazy situation say these things, and as long as it's not a consistent conscious like, yeah, I'm gonna like insult people through these things, you can mess up. People slip up, and PewDiePie slipped up, and he messed up, and he actually he wasn't eaten by cancel culture because he made like a video about a really serious video about how sorry he was. When people try to backpedal and say it wasn't, I don't, it's not my fault. It's like you shouldn't go about that. You should be sorry for saying those things. You should genuinely mean it, So, when people see someone genuinely apologetic about something that they said that was not good at all.
It depends on context.
It depends on context too. And like he was in the middle of like a 12-hour stream or something, and
he just horror games.
Yeah. So like people should be more forgiving towards other people. And 100, I can't push this enough, and 100% strive for all of the information. All of the information. That means a lot to me. Knowing the actual picture.
I think that's just important really for arguing in general. Like if you're going to argue with someone about anything, you should at least understand. Like you should know what they're talking about in order to rebut.
Yeah,
because,
totally.
Like if you're trying to talk to me about anything, like you're trying to talk to me about like your abortion stance, like if I know nothing, I'm not really in the position to start fighting with you about it if I am
and it doesn't even need to be fighting. It's just like we can just conversate,
but there are some times where fighting, I guess, is like an argumentative word.
No, I totally know.
To argue is like super important, especially in democracy. Like that's how things get done, is seeing like something isn't working. I'm going to argue it so that it can improve. Like that's just how our whole society kind of functions. Just like the betterment of ideas, like trying to get better. I think
that's a great thing.
I think it's really good, but there's a difference between like arguing or debating and like attacking someone over their ideas, because there's a fine line and people cross it really often. Then people are like, why are you upset?
Totally. I really like what you said earlier. I want to emphasize this. That forgiveness culture is on decline. I think that's a really important thing to emphasize, because I think, like you said, I think we all have this inert desire to see people fail inside of us. A part of every human being is like.
I don't think it's like. I mean, some people would like to imagine. I like to imagine that I don't have that piece of me.
But
I'm pretty sure it's there. I'm pretty sure it's in everyone, unless you're like in Nirvana. like unless you're like high atop a mountain and like meditating. Like I'm pretty sure.
Because I think it's
almost primal. Like
it is.
To try and get ahead of your competitors. to try and see
It is
someone.
primal.
Yeah, I remember another example from that specific class. It's practically like a race class. It's very strange. They were talking about they were like flashing images of people's faces on like a screen.
Yeah.
And there would be like a white man, there would be like a black man, there would be like a Hindu girl, there would be like a Muslim woman. And like the people that were seeing this, they like their brain activity was monitored, and just inherently subconsciously with no inherent feelings or like even knowing what they're gonna see. Like it wasn't even just people too. It might be like a picture of a knife. It might be a picture of like an explosion. It might be a puppy.
The energy we hold with images is really big.
And just like it applied for multiple races as well. I'm just going to use the white man's example. When he saw someone of a different race, like alerts went in his mind, just subconsciously, even though he's just looking at a picture of like a Hispanic woman. And what it was concluded is that from like a primal standpoint, when you see someone that's from like a different racial background, a lot of the times your brain can perceive it as a threat because they think that like people outside of your like tribal group present a threat to your family. And obviously like consciously we're way past that.
But those things are still
exist.
like planted,
and subconsciously there was a lot of talk in that class about like subconscious racism and like the fact that you and I are white men. We reap the benefits of white America without doing anything, without realizing it whatsoever. Like we're more likely to get hired, we're more likely to get like a lot of different benefits just because subconsciously.
What are the numbers with that? I'm really curious about how many times that actually happens nowadays. I know it happens, but I haven't experienced anything other than that one time with that guy.
It's really
and I want
hard
to know. I want to know like how many, because
what the real numbers are.
What the numbers are, because people like blowing that out of perspective, and I'm not saying that I think grossly enough these things are actually happening. I think people are not hiring people for in certain. I'm sure it's happening somewhere. But I want to get the data on that because I really want to. I mean, I hope it's not a lot of
difficult to do. There was a study again in the class. That like they just emailed random people. I think it was almost identical like transcripts of like a resume for a job, and they just did like John Smith, like Raj Hazi, and like just like stereotypical like Asian names, black name, like And it was,
that's a good way to test that.
And it was really clear that, like, I think white people. Names, white people. I don't think it mattered if it was a man or a woman. But like the white names, were more likely to be hired than all the other groups combined.
Wow.
Like, and I think they did black names, Hispanic names, Asian names.
Well,
I think it was those three: Hispanic, black, and Asian. And combined, all of them weren't nearly as likely as just like John Smith was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's messed up. That's like I didn't know about that. That's a really good way to do that study.
I don't know where they were doing it. I don't know like on how grand of a scale they did it.
I want to check that out. Yeah.
And I also think it might be more prevalent in certain parts of the country because I grew up in New Hampshire. There's like a pretty small population of ethnic groups in New Hampshire. There's a lot of Irish people. There's a lot of Italian people. There is like some Asian Americans and some black people in New Hampshire.
But
not
that's
many.
Not
many.
there was like
and
like
mostly
10
like
at
we're
Conval
close to Boston.
something.
We're like an hour and a half outside of Boston. And that's kind of like a hub for ethnic groups. But really, like, there's white people as far as the eye can see.
So it's hard to, we can never put ourselves in those other people's shoes, But yeah, I didn't know that's a really interesting study. That's really fucked up that's a thing, that it was that heavily in favor of the white people, or the white names, I'd say. That's crazy. I really want to look at more of those like things, because I know it's sadly become more of a social thing to be against racism than an actual
viewpoint.
Like the
climate strikes. Like the people that are striking for the climate are like,
it's
like
less,
just like go home and like suck on their plastic straws and throw away their garbage bags. Like, you strike for climate so you can stand with your friends with picketed signs and then leave.
And say that you have.
Yeah, like
you know,
I'm an environmental science major right now. I'm actively trying to help the environment.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the climate strike.
I think it's like way bigger to like, because people, it's like way more of a social thing to like say rather than an actual issue.
And post it on your Instagram.
Yeah, post on
Save
Instagram.
our mother.
Yeah.
And it's like
there's good
but like
meaning
that
in that.
paper
But
that you just I don't know.
You've got it's lifestyle. It's lifestyle there and research and passion. I think you have that passion in you specifically because I mean, one, you're majoring in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just realizing what we can do. We have so much more power than we think.
I mean, there's
so much more.
There's a great website.
Yeah.
If you're watching the podcast, you could check it out.
Like and subscribe if you've gotten this far. I guarantee no one's 46 minutes in this. Or I guess might do some editing. So
you never know, baby.
You never know. You're a real veteran if you have.
A real veteran. You're just really bored.
Yeah.
But
which I'm down.
Yeah, if you want to, mister or ma'am, you can go on, I believe it's called ecofootprint.com. Or if you just look up eco footprint, it'll come up. It's really interesting. It asks you, and you should do the most detailed versions of the questions they ask, if you can. It essentially asks you a bunch of statistics about your life.
Yeah.
Like the energy you use, the trash you intake, the stuff you buy, your transport, like how many miles you drive in a week, and like how many times you've flown in an airplane.
Yeah.
And food.
It
like
all
what
starts...
you eat. Like, do you eat chicken on a daily basis? Do you eat chicken on a weekly basis? Do you eat any chicken?
Yeah, any meat.
Yeah, like there's
especially cow.
Yeah.
Especially cow.
There's a lot of questions, but essentially it produces a lot of data about yourself and like your carbon emission, and I like to believe that I'm pretty okay. Like my house. I think there were like 5 categories. It was like energy, and like I'm not really at home very much. I don't really use that much like air conditioning or lighting. Food, I pretty much the only kind of meat that I do eat is like chicken occasionally and fish even more occasionally. Like I hardly ever eat fish, but I'll eat it.
It's all about that being conscious about it.
Yeah,
you know?
And then regular foods, I guess, like grains and stuff like that, and fruit and vegetables, and so on. Like I don't really drive very much. I don't really have that much transport costs. I really hate buying stuff. I don't remember the last time I purchased something to like own. Yeah. Aside from like my phone.
It's all those things. It's all those things to take in consideration.
But I like plugged in all my information, and I'm like trying to be as environmentally conscious actively as possible.
Nice.
And it told me that I would like by like April 27th or something, like the resources on planet Earth would be gone if everyone lived the way I did.
Oh wow.
And like I think like if everyone lived the way I did, we'd need like 2.5 Earths. And
Elon Musk going to Mars, baby.
Yeah,
that's why. That's why. It's kind of crazy that.
But yeah, like some people
we're dumping our Earth. We're even thinking about that.
Yeah, some people in my class got like 6 Earths. They're like, tomorrow the world would end if everyone lived the way I did.
Dude, a new statistic came out. If 80% of the world was vegetarian, we'd be good.
We'd be good.
I looked that up. That's actually true. There was a study done. We'd be good. Like, the planet would actually not consume itself. Or you know, the
I mean, what CO2 kind of issues are you talking about?
CO2, ozone.
That feels tricky.
Isn't that crazy? Because like 80% of the world is literally like 5-6 billion people. So like that makes sense. Because I mean
that feels strange to me though, because there would still be like, let's say the world is vegetarian. Yeah. Okay.
Sure, yeah.
There's still air emissions through air travel, which is one of the most pollutant things that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's also just like, I guess like I mean, the meat industry would virtually be gone, which does produce like a lot of emissions.
Yeah.
But even like the cows themselves existing produce a lot of emission.
So it's the AI usage. So for that, I just one answer at a time. Just so the use of automatic insemination. So it's kind of brutal, but what they do with these cows is they don't produce milk unless they're inseminated and pregnant. So they automatically. I'd say they rape these cows because they do. They stick their hands in these cows with bulls. It's really gross. I don't have to get into it, but and it's really messed up. So many cows that are being bred for meat consumption and milk consumption, way tips the scale. So like due to like regular breeding, which is like cows get pregnant and they have their kids, but in this cows produce like dozens of kids, like right when they give birth, they're like, okay, get them pregnant again. And then they do that for like months. So like all these industries producing like way more cattle than nature intended tips the scale so much that these carbon emissions are actually 5 to 10 times worse than all transportation. So transportation is something that's really important, but I've realized that we focus on it so much that we kind of forget these other things. Like cattle production is way more harmful, but it's something that affects lifestyle, and a lot of people don't want to talk about or think about that.
I'm definitely going to be wrong because I'm going to say two
No
different
worries.
words.
No worries.
But I believe it's either a third or a quarter of all the corn grown on Earth is fed to cows.
Yeah.
For the meat
No, it's
industry.
why I know that's why I don't know the numbers, but I know that's why it's a wild number. I want to say
it's a third, but that sounds like a lot to me, so I'm trying like maybe it's a quarter.
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere around there, but it's like almost 25% of the corn grown on Earth is fed to cows so that we can eat them.
Yeah.
And
there's some amount of crazy. There's like 6 gallons of water that goes into one burger.
Yeah, and it's like a swimming pool. That like it's like this is how much water is needed for like a hamburger. It's like it's literally a swimming pool because you feed the cow. But
it's crazy.
But people wonder why like people that are Hindu and like which is almost the entirety of the Indian subcontinent, which is millions of people. India is hyper overpopulated. People wonder why they are not fans of America. And a lot of it is because in Hinduism, the cow is the most holy creature on planet Earth. It is like, it's a sacred animal. It's centered around their religion. And for us, they are hamburgers. They are good. But yeah, there's a large population of people thinking that we are just the worst.
Yeah. I mean, America.
Tacos, I love tacos.
Dude, ground beef, even now, man. I've been vegetarian for a year and a half. Teddy has been vegan for like 4 years or something. He can't, burgers don't even, think, they don't even, taste good to him, or.
Burgers don't think.
Yeah, that's true. Birdie. Anyway. So, he doesn't even, desire to eat a burger because he's just been vegan for so long. Yeah. I'm still in the camp of, that looks really good still, even after a year and a half. So, yeah, they taste damn good, from what I can remember eating them for 20 years. But it's something that's hard to talk about with people it's easy to talk about with people who are already close because we know we're just having a discussion. Yeah. But people get really heated about this because it all has to do with lifestyle. And,
I mean, I'm a meat eater.
Yeah, and we can talk about it. That's what I love about this.
Yeah, man. I mean, I bring this up sometimes. I think it's interesting how humans, who are the definitive top of the food chain, kind of determine the value of life. I brought this up a couple of times, like right below people are primates and things and porpoises and things with higher levels of intelligence. But then it goes to mammals, and it's I guess we can eat mammals, but you'll feel bad about it. And then below that are birds, and birds chicken and turkeys and pheasants, and I guess people are wanting to eat those. Below that's reptiles. People don't really do that. Yeah. Below that's fish. Fish don't have a nervous system the way that mammals and other creatures do, so they don't feel pain, but they still die.
Fish feel pain.
They don't have a nervous system.
They don't?
No.
Fish don't have it. All fish?
I'm pretty positive, yeah. You can look it up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people like to reason that fishing is more humane. Because, like, obviously you wouldn't, like, catch, like, a bear or, like, a raccoon with, like, a hook in its chest. But with fish, they reason it's okay because they don't feel pain.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that.
And then even below fish are, like...
ants, bugs.
Insects,
we put bugs at the lowest.
I guess.
Yeah. And then, you know...
But it's weird, because... There's, like, a fine line between, like, what we think is okay to kill and eat and what we think isn't okay to kill and eat. Like, and I think it's weird because I feel the same way. I do my very, very hardest to not eat pork, especially. I almost avoid that more than cows, honestly, because pigs... Actually, I think it was, like, 3 days ago, pigs, for the first time, a pig was found using a tool. He was using a stick...
That's wild.
Dig.
Pigs are smart.
Using a tool indicates the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Just to drop that information. Anyway, I try really hard to not eat pork. I try really hard to not eat beef.
Yeah.
Those are really, like, my two biggies. Those are the ones that I really hate the most. Like, chickens I do eat.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I feel bad about it, honestly. Like,
yeah.
I guess I feel bad about it. I also don't really know the extent of the meat industry involving chickens. But chickens have also kind of evolved to be less, like, migrant and roam. Like, cows need a pasture, and, like, they spend a lot of time outside, and, like, a lot of animals that need a lot of space and roaming, like, a lot of... It's getting off topic, but, like,
it's important to...
A lot of, like, orca and, like, porpoise containment is just, like, sickening because of their level of intelligence. But chickens do have a lesser level of intelligence, although it's still there.
Yeah.
And then fish.
This is something that I've, like, really enjoyed talking about with my family, actually, recently. And the question I always... I'm very glad to be able to talk to you and be able to talk to my family about this, because it's know that nothing that I say is a personal attack on anybody. Clarify. So that's a really interesting way to look at it. And the question I always ask during that kind of conversation is, does intelligence dictate
quality of life
and morality? So does the intelligence of an animal dictate its value? And whether...
That is a tough question.
And whether it should live longer than we would like it to.
Yeah, that's a hard question. I do think the level of intelligence is definitely not insignificant.
Okay.
I think it's highly important. Like, like, going back to, like, the orcas and the porpoises. Like, porpoises have dialects that are, like, hundreds of words that are individual that they reuse that are through, like, their orca calls. And they actually have, like, different species and groups of dolphins have accents that are different from ones that live in different areas. Yeah. And they use the same words and they can understand each other, but they detect each other's accents by using their words. Crazy. And I think it's 150 words are needed to develop a language. And they have, like, a system of 300 words. Yeah. And all they do is circumnavigate the globe. Yeah. And it's the same with orcas, except they do it in the Arctic and the Antarctic. Yeah. So should, like, that... They're in swimming pools. Yeah. They're highly intelligent beings that are in literal pools.
Would like, if I... Here's another question I put. So
I dodged your question.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
You see my politics. It's like...
another way I like to reiterate it is, like, if my IQ went down to the IQ of, let's say, a fish. Okay. Would that make it justified to kill me, or before I'd like to die.
Still be a person?
Yeah, it would just be me. I would just have like the IQ and intelligence of an animal. Would there be a justification to kill me for sustenance? Not even for sustenance. Would there be a justification to kill me for sensual?
Sensual.
Oh man, that is not.
You into necrophilia, bro?
Yeah, that is not what I meant. Would there be a justification to kill me for it sounds like sensual, the word I was looking
Sustenance?
for. Yeah, but for sensory pleasure. That's the word. So
What do you mean by sensory pleasure? Like it's
taste.
fun to kill you?
Taste.
Okay, because I feel like when you say like pleasure,
Yeah.
like that sounds like I want to kill you for fun.
No, yeah, not like that. But like when we kill a cow for its sustenance and the pleasure of eating a cow.
I believe just by the fact you being a human being would make it cruel, but it is a good question to think about. Like, because a fish is incredibly unintelligent, or I'm speaking on a
let's say
basis. Like there's a lot of fish in the ocean that are actually pretty intelligent.
Yeah, like dolphins.
Dolphins aren't fish.
They're mammals. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. I know.
But there are fish that are intelligent.
Yeah.
But like if I'm talking about like a sunfish that we would like catch in a pond.
Can I change that to cow?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna change that to cow. So intelligence of a cow. Let's just say that. Yeah. Just because that's like the number one most killed animal.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't support the killing of cows in general.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not in support of the killing of people.
Yeah.
But
it's an interesting like collision, right? It's like seeing if intelligence, because obviously animals feel pain. That's just a fact. You hit a cow with a whip or something and it squeals. You kick a dog or whatever and it whines.
Yeah.
You know, but animals feel pain. So the fact that animals feel pain, I think is really important, because a lot of the time, you know, we like you said, like this scale of why not enjoy, you know, why not see that these animals, like what makes us think that we are justified in ending their lives for something when we don't need to? I think that's the most important idea, is are we justified in killing animals continually to kill animals exactly when we don't need to?
Yeah, because there is a level of like the reason we are intelligent today is from eating meat, like, and from getting the nutrients that we have in it. Like, our brains have
like building civilization.
Like we learned how to make fire. We learned how to cook food. We learned how to hunt animals, and we learned how to build civilization.
Yeah.
Now that we're past all
that we don't.
I have never gone hunting.
Yeah.
I don't hunt.
Yeah.
But I can eat meat when I want to.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing to think about. It's
interesting. There's a lot of people today that I feel like a supermarket is a magical place. You go and you find food and it's just there. But like you realize that like they're coming from somewhere. It doesn't appear. It traveled from.
There's a lot of energy and resources.
Long ways. Yeah, there's a lot of resources that are used in the shipment of food. But I don't know. In terms of hunting, I feel pretty good about it. I think that hunting is pretty
because it kind of like recreates this primal thing.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like a human thing to want to do. Like I just said, I personally have never gone hunting, but there's kind of like a part of me that wants to.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I will. But there is like a level of interest that feels like, especially when I was little. Like I was like as a little kid, I would go out in the woods with sticks and like hit stuff and run around and try and find animals to catch and stuff like that. And
gotcha.
Like it's weird because it's not like I want to kill anything, and it's not like I would ever like want to inflict pain or make something suffer, but
but weirdly enough, that's like
the act of hunting is something that
doing
like,
just that.
I can. It's palpable. Like some people are so driven by it that they are hunters. Like people are. That's what they do for their lives. Is they hunt animals, and like even the hunt. Like a lot of the hunters, feel really regretful when they kill animals, and they don't want to make things suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when you ask them, they're like, I don't even know why I hunt.
Yeah.
I just do, and it's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into, like, certain practices and stuff, you know, either culturally or, you know, how someone grew up or something like that. Yeah, we've been going for a long time. This is wild. This is like a quick hour that's just happened.
Yeah, I could keep going too.
Yeah.
Might start getting delirious. I should probably actually head home soon. But.
Yeah, no, we can definitely. Yeah, no, to conclude that was it's really, like, talking about animals and lifestyle and stuff is always a pleasure to talk about. So.
Let me just say before as one last
sign off.
As one last point I want to make. Still about the orca and porpoise containment, which I'm just going to keep bringing up because it's like a topic in particular. It's one of the things that makes me the most infuriated on planet Earth. Like, I think it's something as a species we're going to look back on in like 50 years and be like, that was horrid. Like, that was disgusting. All these animals do is swim.
Yeah.
And literally around the planet.
Yeah.
That's all they do for their lives. And they're pack animals. They live in pods.
Mm-hmm.
They bond for life. They're with their families for life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in pools. And it makes me sad.
I don't like zoos, man.
Zoos are.
I don't like circuses with animals and zoos.
Yeah,
that's just like not something I have been recently pumped up about.
Yeah, I think there are ways to have zoos that are okay. There's like a lot of there's a lot of like recreational like game areas that are essentially like wide areas of wilderness that have the animals in them but are fenced in.
Controlled area.
But it's so wide that it would take you like 3 days to drive from one end of the fence to the other.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's okay. I also think they're, again, like equating to intelligence. I think, and like the species of animal, I think like big cats, I don't think should ever be in containment unless they're kind of in the one that I was describing. Due to intelligence? Yeah, 1, due to intelligence, 2, due to their lifestyle. Same with elephants. All they do is move.
Okay.
Elephants are migrant animals.
Yeah.
They don't stay in one place.
Yeah.
They return to the same area and they do a ginormous loop across wherever they're living.
Yeah.
And they return to the same places, but they are only walking.
Yeah.
And to have one in a box sounds horrible.
Yeah.
And I think there are certain animals that could exist.
Question,
especially for rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, yeah.
No, yes, seriously, no. My question there, we're gonna keep. But I can do one more.
Okay.
My question that I have there is, does how an animal spends its life as like what it surrounds itself with, you know, how it lives and its intelligence, like keep it from the right to live, like from like, because I see these like cows and these chickens and they're just like their legs are like.
Well, what do you mean by like their right to live?
So,
I don't understand the question.
So these animals that we consume, we take their lives, you know, and way before we need to. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, it's the things that we do to these animals prior is pretty dreadful. You know, we milk them until they're, you know, exhausted. We keep them in cages. We take their calves away from them, take their babies away from them. So like. That would be my humble question is like, does the act of how an animal lives dictate whether it has the right to live? Like if it doesn't act in a way that we are something that we recognize, should that take away from its right to live in its environment? Like even a fish, you know, it still has a life. You know. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like I could relate this more to like zoo animals, less animals that we eat.
Oh yeah.
Just
because...
like
giraffe. Dude, have you seen like those giraffes like caged up in some zoos?
I mean,
like
that kind of stuff, especially with megafauna. Megafauna is just animals. I think it's above 250 pounds.
Yeah.
their most of the time their lifestyle involves moving a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's really unfair to do that, but
okay.
Yeah. No, you can.
Okay, no, I was just So what do you think of that question? I was gonna.
It's politics, baby. Don't try.
You're like, well, the megalofauna.
Yeah, well, that wraps up my episode of the podcast. Thanks everyone for watching. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Can you just restate the question?
Yeah, totally. So like, how an animal lives its life and how much it can retain information and or the level of its IQ should that dictate how long it should live? How it should live.
I don't think it should necessarily dictate how long it should live. But I do think it should dictate whether we decide to choose an animal to munch on or not.
Okay, but those are the same things, right? Because to eat an animal is to take its life.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but I'm saying that the level of intelligence, I think, plays a major factor.
Oh, okay.
And one of the main reason that I avoid beef and pork is because they're highly intelligent animals.
Yeah.
Actually, less so than the cow is slightly less intelligent than the pig. The pigs are hyper intelligent. Pigs are smarter than dogs. I don't know if people know that.
People don't see that. Like, expect that. So.
Pigs can speak like sign language. Like they're I mean, they can't act. They don't have fingers.
Yeah.
but pigs can like recognize colors. They can respond when you talk to them
and shit.
Yeah. There have been a lot of tests on pigs done for their intelligence, but that's those two animals are why I try and avoid eating them as much as possible. I don't really remember the last time I ate either of them. But it is why I feel more inclined to eat chicken.
Okay, so because of the intelligence of the chicken?
Yeah, essentially.
It should dictate whether an animal should live longer then. I mean, no. I don't think that because an animal is stupid, like fish, I don't think that it should die sooner.
Okay. I think that it should be chosen more often than an intelligent animal.
Okay. So it deserves less to live than an intelligent animal. It should be picked more rather than okay.
Yeah, I think that if there was
Sorry to squeeze this answer out of you.
It's good. I think if there was a live fish in a tank and there's a live pig in a pen, I would want to eat the fish.
Yeah.
I would choose to do that actively because they're less intelligent.
But if you didn't need to eat the fish at all, would you what do you think of, we don't need to eat animals at all? Do you think
depends what else there's to eat.
Okay, that's true.
I like rice. I like potatoes. But I totally can see where you're coming from.
No, totally. I thank you for dealing with my million questions.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, we should wrap her up.
Yeah, we should. The camera's about to die too. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for the veterans that are at the end of this video.
The veterans.
Because type.
Support your local veterans.
Type Miyazaki in the comments if you're here.
That is M-I-Y. I don't remember.
Something Zaki. Actually, no, something...
M-I-Y-A-Z-A-K-I. Miyazaki.
If there's any Miyazakis in the comments, I'm going to be impressed.
Follow, and subscribe. My name is Keiran Sass. I'm here with Alex, and this has been great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for being on, brother.
Thanks, man.
See you guys next time.